Welcome to Andy Reads the Bible, where we're reading through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation in 1 year. I'm your host, Andy Brassfield. Today is January the 3rd. January the 3rd, and I'll be reading Genesis chapter 8 through chapter 11, verse 9 from the Message translation. Genesis chapter 8. Then God turned his attention to Noah and all the wild animals and farm animals with him on the ship. God caused the wind to blow, and the flood waters began to go down. The underground springs were shut off, the windows of heaven closed, and the rain quit. Inch by inch the water lowered. After 150 days, the worst was over. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the ship landed on the Ararat mountain range. The water kept going down until the 10th month. On the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains came into view. After 40 days, Noah opened the window that he had built into the ship. He sent out a raven. It flew back and forth, waiting for the flood waters to dry up. Then he sent a dove to check on the flood conditions, but it couldn't even find a place to perch. Water still covered the earth. Noah reached out and caught it and brought it back into the ship. He waited 7 more days and sent out the dove again. It came back in the evening with a freshly picked olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew that the flood was about finished. He waited another 7 days and sent the dove out a third time. This time, it didn't come back. In the 601st year of Noah's life, on the first day of the first month, the flood had dried up. Noah opened the hatch of the ship and saw dry ground. By the 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. God spoke to Noah, "Leave the ship, you and your wife and your sons' wives, and take all the animals with you, the whole menagerie of birds and mammals and crawling creatures, all that swarming extravagance of life, so they can reproduce and flourish on the earth." Noah disembarked with his sons and wife and his sons' wives. Then all the animals, crawling creatures, birds, every creature of the face of the earth left the ship, family by family. Noah built an altar to God. He selected clean animals and birds from every species and offered them as burnt offerings on the altar. God smelled this sweet fragrance and thought to himself, "I'll never again curse the ground because of people. I know they have this bent toward evil from an early age, but I'll never again kill off everything living as I've just done. For as long as earth lasts, planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never stop." Chapter 9. God blessed Noah and his sons. He said, "Prosper, reproduce, fill the earth. Every living creature, birds, animals, fish, will fall under your spell and be afraid of you. You're responsible for them. All living creatures are your food. Just as I gave you the plants, now I give you everything else. Except for meat with its lifeblood still in it. Don't eat that. But your own lifeblood I will avenge. I will avenge it against both animals and other humans. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans let his blood be shed, because God made humans in his image, reflecting God's very nature. You're here to bear fruit, reproduce, lavish life on the earth, live bountifully." Then God spoke to Noah and his sons, "I'm setting up my covenant with you, including your children who will come after you, along with everything alive around you, birds, farm animals, wild animals, that came out of the ship with you. I'm setting up my covenant with you that never again will everything living be destroyed by floodwaters. No, never again will a flood destroy the earth. God continued, "This is the sign of the covenant I'm making between me and you and everything living around you and everyone living after you. I'm putting my rainbow in the clouds, a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. From now on, when I form a cloud over the earth and the rainbow appears in the cloud, I'll remember my covenant between me and you and everything living, that never again will flood waters destroy all life. When the rainbow appears in the cloud, I'll see it and remember the eternal covenant between God and everything living, every last living creature on earth." And God said, "This is the sign of the covenant that I've set up between me and everything living on the earth." The sons of Noah who came out of the ship were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah. From these three the whole earth was populated. Noah, a farmer, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank from its wine, got drunk, and passed out, naked in his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and told his two brothers who were outside the tent. Shem and Japheth took a cloak, held it between them from their shoulders, walked backward, and covered their father's nakedness, keeping their faces turned away so they did not see their father's exposed body. When Noah woke up with his hangover, he learned what his youngest son had done. He said, "Cursed be Canaan, a slave of slaves, a slave to his brothers. Blessed be God, the God of Shem, but Canaan shall be his slave." God prospered Japheth, living spaciously in the tents of Shem, but Canaan shall be his slave. Noah lived another 350 years following the flood. He lived a total of 950 years, and he died. Chapter 10. This is the family tree of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. After the flood, they themselves had sons. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, Tyrus. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, Rodanim. The seafaring peoples developed from these, each in its own place by family, each with its own language. The sons of Ham: Cush, Egypt, Put, Canaan. The sons of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, Sabteka. The sons of Rama: Sheba, Dedan. Cush also had Nimrod. He was the first great warrior on earth. He was a great hunter before God. There was a saying, "Like Nimrod, a great hunter before God." His kingdom got its start with Babel, then Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the country of Shinar. From there he went up to Ashur and built Nineveh, Robohath, Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and the great city Calah. Egypt was ancestor to the Ludim, the Anamim, the Lehabim, the Naphtahim, the Pathrushim, the Chalsuhim, the origin of the Philistines, and the Caphtorim. Canaan had Sidon, his firstborn, Heth, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Archites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Later, the Canaanites spread out, going from Sidon toward Gerar, as far south as Gaza, and then east all the way over to Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and on into Lasha. These are the descendants of Ham by family, language, country, and nation. Shem, the older brother of Japheth, also had sons. Shem was ancestor to all the children of Eber. The sons of Shem: Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, or Lud maybe, and Aram. The sons of Aram: Uz, Hul, Gether, Meshech. Arphaxad had Shelah, and Shelah had Eber. Eber had two sons, Peleg, so named because in the days the human race was divided, and Joktan. Joktan had Almadad, Sheleph, Hazarmepheth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab, all sons of Joktan. Their land goes from Mesha toward Sephar, as far south as the mountain ranges in the east. These are the descendants of Shem by family, language, country, and nation. This is the family tree of the sons of Noah as they developed into nations. From them, nations developed all across the earth after the flood. Chapter 11. At one time, the whole earth spake the same language. It so happened that as they moved out of the east, they came upon a plain in the land of Shinar and settled down. They said to one another, "Come, let's make bricks and fire them well." They used brick for stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city and a tower that reaches heaven. Let's make ourselves famous so we won't be scattered here and there across the earth." God came down to look over the city and the tower those people had built. God took one look and said, "One people, one language. Why, this is only a first step. No telling what they'll come up with next. They'll stop at nothing. Come, we'll go down and garble their speech so they won't understand each other." Then God scattered them from there all over the world. And they had to quit building the city. That's how it came to be called Babel, because there God turned their language into Babel. From there, God scattered them all over the world. That concludes today's Bible reading. Today's episode is sponsored by Big Tree Telecom, where you can get a world-class phone system without all the hassle and expense. To learn more about how we can help your business talk big, visit us on the web at bigtreetele.com. That's bigtree.com.